Welcome back to Get With The Programming. I'm Chase Ingram.
I'm Captain America.
And along with me is Bill Grundler.
Wolverine.
You impatient sons of bees.
Dang, look at that. Right on time. Not
Right
even a
on
minute
time.
late. Not even a minute late.
Usually we're 5 to 10 minutes late.
Oh, look at what Zombie wanted the guitar intro. Sorry, man.
Yeah, bro.
We're just trying to jump into it. We'll play it at the end. We always do.
Yeah, we'll play it at the end.
We got you.
Guitar, my body was ready. Yeah, if you want the guitar, you just got to listen to the audio version.
That's right.
All right, yeah. We just want to pop in.
Get after it.
We can.
Just get
What's
after
up, everyone? Caden, Philip, Alyssa, Wad Zombie, Nick, Jeffrey. Oh, well. Hey, anything exciting happen today?
What, in the CrossFit space? Yeah, I was thinking that maybe I should go to the open division. What do you think?
My goodness.
There's all these holes that are hopping in there, so maybe I should just jump in.
If you guys haven't heard yet, this just got announced, I think, what, an hour?
Dude, hours ago. Yeah, an hour ago.
Hours ago. But Mal O'Brien posted on her Instagram that she is basically withdrawing from competition this year. She wrote, with a heavy heart, I'd like to share that I won't be competing at semifinals this weekend. Sometimes we face personal challenges that demand our attention and care. It's important to prioritize our well-being and embrace the support of loved ones. While I won't be competing, I'm grateful for the understanding and encouragement from my coach, Matt Fraser, and my HWPO training team, friends, family, and fans. Their unconditional support means the world to me. Remember, life isn't just about winning trophies or achieving goals. It's about finding balance, taking care of ourselves, and cherishing the moments that truly matter. I'll be taking this time to focus on what's important to me, and I appreciate your understanding. And during this time period, I wish the best of luck to my teammates and competitors. Now, this is coming off the heels of basically Haley Adams. I don't know what the underlying reason is. It seems to be that could be just it's just personal, right? It's personal
That's
to
what
Mal.
she said. Right.
Yeah, it's personal to Mal, and that is personal for Haley. Obviously, both of them seem to be somewhat similar. I don't want to lump anyone into a group or the other. This is such an individual thing for these athletes to go through, but it's for fans of the sport. Obviously, this is tough to see because, Mal is just someone we enjoy watching. She's an incredible competitor, one of those names that were in the running of being the fittest on earth after Tia had stepped out. There's been that back and forth of, Laura and Mal, and coming off the heels what Haley has come out with and moving on since. And at the end of the day, I think for someone like Mal, and as being human for a second, is just obviously we want the best for them individually as a person, regardless of CrossFit or sport or anything else outside their own personal life.
Last week, and we didn't get a chance to get to it because they started announcing all the events and everything, but we were going to get into the Glassman Chipper, and one of them had to do about masters and youth competing.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I see between Haley and Mal is the fact that these are two young athletes, and especially on the women's side, we have a lot of young athletes that are physically able to compete at the level with all these other women. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that they do not have is the wisdom, the experience, the mental fortitude that some of this stuff takes to be able to stay in the game. Now, I'm not saying that Mal stepped out for any reason. We don't know what it is. Even like with Haley, she said she needed, having to deal with a lot of like the personal stress and everything. And I get that. That was one of the things that I saw with Haley at a really young age when she was in the teen division and really wanted to push. Like she didn't want to do the teen division. She wanted to be in the open division. And
right. She says she's been competing nonstop, sole focus since she was 14.
Right. And how old is she now?
21, 22?
Yeah, that means like that for a lot of people is just where they're starting to break into the scene. So there's a lot of time, a lot of physical time that's put into that. But when you talk about just youth in general, their mental status doesn't truly harden up until they're about 24. So there's a lot of changes and a lot of things that are going on in that person's life as they're developing, not just physically but mentally.
Mhm.
So there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot that can go into that. I mean, when I look at Mal, I see. Um, I see like a very kind of like Krennikov. She's very robotic.
Her nickname was Mal 1000 that
Yeah.
Townsend gave her, and that's a Terminator.
Yeah, she's a
Terminator.
robot, like expressionless. I just go, like she just goes. And that for in a lot of instances is a winning formula, but on a human instance that isn't always a winning formula where you're pushing everything away like that, and it does take its
Yeah.
toll. So like everyone talks about Mal and she's the one, and it's always a lot of it goes from super fun when everyone's cheering for you, and then it switches when all of a sudden now you're expected.
Mm.
And that's a big, I think that's a tough thing to handle, so who knows? I hope, obviously we hope the best for her. On her side, like she's got a lot of time,
Yeah.
a lot of time left. I mean,
so yeah, I mean,
it's not like we're not going to see her
19?
anymore. So I don't think so.
19, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, give me a break.
What do you think about that? And what you mentioned there about being robotic or singularly focused or dialed in or emotionless, and like none of those things I was at 14, let alone until I was 25. But I mean that in a sense of like from young teens. So 14, that's probably when you're getting into high school. So you're freshman year of high school until you're out of college. Like those are the years where you figure out kind of who you are. That's really what it's for.
Oh yeah.
Right? Or who you are not, or you find your friend circle and things change, and then every 2 years you almost become a different person, and people naturally change. I mean, I think scientifically they say like every 7 years something about you changes permanently, whether it's like mentally, physically, and like we just evolve. And that 14 to 24 year span, like that 10-year block from 14 to 24, I was probably like 13 different human beings.
That's a third of her lifetime, dude.
Yes.
I mean, give me a break. That's a third of her lifetime. Where you're put in that pressure, under pressure of the training pressure, the competition pressure. Now you have all the social pressure with social media and stuff like that. I mean, that's a big deal. It's a big deal. That is a lot. It's not, and you can't understate that or overstate that too much. I mean, it's hardcore.
Yeah.
But who knows what the reason is? I hate seeing where athletes have to do that, and I think what any athlete, regardless of what the fans think and what the fans say, they got to do what's best for them.
100%.
I mean, fuck the fans. Sorry, everybody. But when you're an athlete, it's like, yeah, they're just here to watch you, to cheer and wave the flag and stuff like that. But like everything, as far as everything else goes, who cares what they think? The only thing now that I see a lot of these athletes, the one pressure part, I mean, yeah, social media, whatever, but they're on this like pseudo professional athlete thing where you have sponsors and they're expecting you to carry their name out onto the field, and all of a sudden now it's like, oh, you can't because of whatever the reason is. You don't see. That's one of the things that like true professional athletes, football players, basketball, baseball, they go a little mentally. They have mental challenges with that because they can't stop.
I would say yes. And the hard thing about CrossFit is I mean, this is a sport that nobody really has figured out yet.
No,
nobody has it figured out. Nobody knows how to be a superstar in CrossFit. And on the flip side is that you talked about these major sports, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, things like that. Is like you could be a young phenom, but you're still surrounded by a team on a court or on the ice or on the field. And most people don't achieve this type of attention and success, maybe in their inner circles when they're, high school phenoms and like that. But like even in college, it gets a little bit more, but like there's almost levels to this.
Right.
Right. And so when you look at this, is like, there seems to be more of a playbook for those type of athletes. They get coached. I mean, you look at professional football players, basketball, like they have like conventions for this, and they have handlers, and you've seen this take place. Like there's almost an expectation there, and it's so individualized.
Well, and those guys, I mean, there's a lot of crumbling that goes on in those athletes too. I mean, I've talked to a lot of, I have a couple professional athletes and ex-professional athletes here at my gym, and I talk to them, and in their own circles, I mean, they can't tell the manager when they're having a rough time because they'll get cut, they'll get moved, they'll get, all those different type of things, and that's their lifestyle. They can't let that go. Now, one of the comments here that I saw that C Hill had up here, there are times when I agree with this comment. A lot of like the celebrities, if someone wants to be a celebrity and then they say that they don't want people taking pictures of them and they don't want to act like the celebrity, it's like, okay, you knew exactly what you were getting in for. An athlete doesn't compete and try to push to be at the top to be a celebrity. They push to be at the top to beat everybody.
Some do.
Yeah, but I mean, but they're not the ones that are at the top. They're not the ones that are at the top. You know what I mean? Like if you look at
and some are driven by the fame and money.
I'm okay. Well, look in our space.
Oh, okay, yeah, our space.
If you look in our space,
there's fame in a small pond and not
right, right. Like I don't think that pick all of our best athletes that they're like, you know what, I'm going to be the fittest athlete in the world so that people will like me. No, they're athletes that want to beat people, and I want to beat everybody. I think that I don't think that any of these athletes, it's not that they're like up to the top and it's like they knew what they were getting into. I don't think many people understand the pressure of being up at the top is all I have to say.
Yeah.
I think that's and I'm not trying to blow smoke up any people's asses. I mean, like I personally, like the whole Dominic Dawes thing at the Olympics.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of that. I personally, it was like, okay, if you're an athlete, just because you're a great athlete, you can't say that you're suffering from mental issues because you're not doing as well as you thought you did. The thing is that, yeah, isn't that the?
Did you just like travel back to like 1994?
No. Well, what was the last one? Who was it? No, Simone Biles. I don't know. That's my issue. In fact, I'm going to be 54 in a couple days, dude. Give me a break. Tell me some slack here.
Pulled out a gymnast from.
I was like, I was just thinking that, and that was the first one that popped into my head. My bad, Simone Biles.
And gosh, who's that female tennis player who's seemingly going through the same Oksana, whatever. You guys know.
Yeah.
This out there.
Yeah.
Not uncommon in a space that is so individualized and in the limelight and the pressure and what I just put this up there. Allegra's opinion is like these guys are kids.
Right.
And they're dedicating, you say it's like solely focused on competing in the CrossFit Games and how they handle that. And it might seem like everything's going great, but I mean, that's a lot to put on
you want to know
anyone who's putting on anything to anybody else. That is not what I'm saying. It was pressure on yourself as a young teenager in this high-paced, high-profile atmosphere.
Yeah. You want to know what was a really interesting thing when Mal and Haley started posting a lot of their stories where they were hanging out?
Yeah.
I literally didn't recognize either of them. I mean, because they all of a sudden they look like teenage girls. Like just being giddy and silly and running around doing their thing or whatever. And then you look at them on the floor, and I mean, it was like a completely different person. I mean, for both of them, it's crazy. But I mean, you got to do that. You got to do that. So
thank you, Chris. Yeah. It's just one of those things. Like really, at the end of the day, I hope this is the best move for Mal, the human being, going forward. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
Take care of what you need to take care of. It's not that important. It's fucking CrossFit. Like,
yeah, totally.
It's that's all it is. It's based out of a training methodology. At the end of the day, it's a thing that is supposed to enrich our lives, not take away from, right?
Right.
At the end of the day. All right. We just wanted to, again, respect to you, Mal. I hope you find what you're, hope you find what you're looking for and everything works out for you. And, we support everything that you're going through. So we wish you all the best. All right, we are going to touch on the semifinal test for the individuals. Last week, we went to the team competition with the semifinals just really 2 days away. It is Tuesday that we are recording this. The semifinals will start on Thursday with the team competition kicking things off, and then the individuals will pick up on Friday. Bill and I are going to go test by test, go through what the test is, and just like the team competition, there are still some things that are not settled yet as far as big details that, or I would say small details that could potentially have very big impacts on how the competition unfolds. So we'll just get right into it here. We'll start with test number 1 for the individuals for time, 3,000 meter echo bike, 84 foot hand over hand pull, 2,000 meter assault air runner, 84 foot hand over hand pull, 1,000 meter ski erg, 92 foot hand over hand pull. It says the weight is 225 and 180. I don't know if this one has the most things left out. When you look at the language, is hand over hand pull. Everyone's like, oh, sled, sled, sled. I was like, it doesn't even say sled.
Right.
It just says pull. Like,
yeah.
What could that be? What is hand over hand? Are they seated? Are they standing? Is there
a line? Can they move in that line? Can they move past the line?
Yeah, can they pull there's so much involved in here is detail wise. Before we dive into what it could be, looking at what it is now, Bill, how do you like this as based off what we already know that's out and released, is like this is our big long endurance test for the weekend?
Honestly, I think it's kind of fun. Like I like this. I like this until I see some of the other things that come up, because it's like, okay, we got all of our toys in here. We got all the machines in here. So I'm not really expecting to see any more of these other things, or I wouldn't think this, because 3,000 meter on the echo bike, it's a nice big chunk. 2,000 meters on the assault runner, it's a nice big chunk. 1,000 meters on the skier, nice big chunk. We should not see those things again. Yet we do. I think that's a problem. But this event, I like it. I like the hand over hand. We used to do stuff like this, like in the fire service. And when you're out of breath and then you're having to bend over and pull hand over hand, that is very difficult. And the issue with the breathing as you're leaning over like that, if it's not something you're normally used to doing. So I really like what it is. I think that pull, we've seen that only twice, I guess, but we've seen it in the old games.
Today is
the two.
I think there's actually more. So events that we've had a hand over hand pull, or just say any type of sled pull. I forgot about the 2011 finale. Remember that one? It ended with it.
Oh, that's right. That was the 3 rounds of the 3 rounds.
Yeah,
right.
It was the final thing. 2014 push pull.
Obviously.
The 2016 rope chipper.
Yeah, where they had the rope, they had the ski, they had Vikowski doing that whip thing that he was yanking the thing across the floor.
Yeah. Then I'm trying to think of what else we've had.
But I think the only really heavy one was the push pull.
And that got increasingly heavy. I think the pull in the 2016 rope chipper was fairly heavy. We could pull up the weights.
Yeah.
I don't have a Caleb Beaver here, so and I'm being lazy. But we've had pulls in the past. I can't remember the last time we actually had one.
Did those say hand over hand though?
Well, shoot, I'll look it up.
Because I know, because there is a difference. Like if they specifically make it hand over hand, especially if you're like, okay, your feet are set, you're not allowed to move your feet or not allowed to step out of a box or something like that. That definitely makes it harder than like what Brent was doing, and he was using his whole body to, move and yank that thing across.
Just says sled pull in 2011.
Yeah, so that was anyway.
Anyway, I'll keep going.
That's a big that's an important difference right there.
Sled pull in 2011. Someone had commented on here that Renegade Games posted a little preview of testing or something, and they saw a sled there, which, you know, could be.
Could
It's
be.
also in Africa.
Yeah, it
Not
doesn't.
all the same.
I mean, the other one said sled pull. This doesn't say that.
Push pull 2014, 50-foot sled pull.
Sled pull.
This
Again,
is one
doesn't
of
say
the
how.
things where I was like, let's not get too consumed with wording, because wording has been a little weird this year.
Maybe you're pulling the Echo bike across with 225 pounds on it.
It's got wheels. Let's see, 2016. Let's see, was that on a Sunday? Rope chipper. Yep.
Yeah. That was early in the day.
90-foot sled pull. That's what it says.
There you go.
There. So,
Interesting.
who knows? But, back to the mainstay of the test is that 3K Echo Bike, 2K Air Runner, 1K Ski Erg. Echo Bike, Ski Erg looks like they'll all take somewhere around 4 minutes, give or take, obviously skill level in between men and women. Whereas at 2K on the runner, probably combo that plus a little extra,
Right.
8 or more
Right.
minutes. I mean, the air runners, I think they do run a little faster than, say, like normal running does, but you're looking at 8 to 10 minutes, depending on the demographic and the athletes taking that test and the air runner. So you have these two implements in the beginning and the end that equal about what that runner is. And I'm not surprised, because how often do we hear Boz say running is a cornerstone of fitness? Right? And if you think about it, running is probably the most primal fitness routine there is. If you go back to like, caveman days, like if you do not have the ability to run, you probably didn't live very long.
Can have a hard time hunting.
Right? The nomadic people. And it's probably one of the most primal exercises we can do as human beings. So no surprise to see a lot of emphasis put on that. I mean, after all the shuttle runs that we've had leading up to this, I'm not surprised to see the run being the longest element here. What I am curious about is how tough is that hand over hand sled pull? Personally, I want it to be hard. Like I want that thing to have a massive impact on who wins or loses this event.
Well, and the only way that it would is if they have that particular standard where you can't move your feet. Like once your feet are set, your feet are set. You can't drop on your butt. You can't do the extend and fall back where you're not having to pull, but you basically anchor your feet in. They can't come out, and it's a true hand over hand. So you're pulling the rope between your legs, and doing it that way. That would be the best way.
Bill Film asks, will you be in Pasadena?
I will not.
Boo.
Seriously.
All right, things that we'll know in a couple of days. What type of sled, if there is one being used, is that weight on the sled or weight combined with the sled? I mean, depending on the sled you use, that's a 30 to 40 pound difference.
Right.
Which makes a difference, right? It's like, hey, we're just going to throw on an extra plate. I'm like, no, I'm good. Overall, I want to do this one.
I like it. I like it.
At the traps. Do you feel like the traps, like where do you see the biggest pitfall here that athletes could fall into? I would say of the three machines, I think the hand over hand pull is going to take care of itself. Like do or do not, Yoda style.
Yeah.
The machine work, and I think early is where it can make or break some peeps.
I think so too. You can't overlook the air runner piece. It's the biggest chunk of time on there. So that's where you're going to have time to make up whatever you need to make up. So if you come off the Echo bike first and you're already going to be bent over as you're working on that bike, and then you're going to be, if you're doing a true hand over hand, if it's the hand over hand that I think, you're going to be bent over again. So you're not taking as much oxygen as you want. So if you redline too much on that 3000 trying to come off that bike first, I think you're going to have a really hard time working on recovery for that air assault runner and then going into it, because I think you want to be able to really push the back half of this event. You need to be able to come off that run with a good clip, because you're going to basically be holding your breath for the hand over hand. You're flailing for the 1,000-meter on the skier, just doing your like whippy arm thing, and then again holding on for dear life on the last.
If you can, after all those pulls.
Well, and I think that's what you the last 500 meters on the ski erg, and that last set of pulls, you got to thread that needle. I think you have to ride that line. So to do that, you're going to have to really manage the front half of this event, because if with a longer event like this, if you come out too hard trying to win in the beginning or try to get yourself out ahead and then hold on, I think the other people will be able to eat up way too much real estate on you.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very curious to see. I almost think this is oddly enough, maybe intentional, maybe not, but you have just a huge machine front half.
Yeah.
It's bike, pull, runner. That is going to be a big separator. But then you have pull, ski, pull. Where I think you can actually have another separator. So I could see at the halfway point things almost flipping for those, like the best are going to, be great. But basically like top 5 or below, right? 6 through whatever. Things just moving back and forth. Front half, bike, pull, runner, huge chunk of time, huge machine emphasis, right? 3,000-meter bike, 2,000-meter air runner. I mean, you're looking at 12 to 13 minutes of machine work. And on the back half, you've got a pull, ski, pull, which could be like 5 to 6 minutes total, depending on how long the pulls are, maybe 8 to 10. I don't know.
Right.
But
well, that's what I mean.
Back half goes.
Yeah, and that's where that front half, it's going to be. You're right. There are two different pieces separated wise, but I think it's about like how smart are you on your pacing for the first half so that you can really open up on that second half.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be able to open up heavy on that second half. So
I'm curious.
I think we're going to see, I think that there'll be some smart people that like hang back. They're going to be 5th, 6th, 7th off the Echo bike.
Yeah.
That will be moving up to the front when you get to the skier, because they'll be just a little bit of a governor on the system there, just kind of hanging back just a touch, letting the rabbits kind of go out and do their thing, not being too impatient to chase them down. Yeah. The other really interesting thing is you have all that time on the air runner, and unless they have one of those, remember when they had the boats for the rowing?
Yeah.
Because how do you don't know how to pace. You
True.
don't know how fast to stay with anyone, and that's the biggest chunk of time is on that air runner.
Relative to the people next
relative to the people. I mean, so you don't know who you're chasing. You don't know where everyone's sitting.
Yeah, true.
You know,
you can read body language maybe if you have the time to look around, or there's a screen that shows other people. But
I mean, yeah, you'll be able to see the people on either side of you. But basically, that's it. I mean, like you're gonna have to rely on the MCs to say who's in the lead to know where you are. Like that's the only thing you have, and that's a lot of awareness that you'll need to have, a lot of outside awareness. Unless the coaches line up right in front of them and start giving like hand signals or something about, pick it up, like kind of like sprint car racers when they're flying around and you put the little whiteboard out there, like hurry the fuck up or slow the fuck down, one of the two.
Seamus question, Fikowski to win this one. After we get through Linda, I'm going to bring in a thematic thing I've noticed before we think who's going to win and who's not.
Okay.
But remind me. The one thing that's a bummer about this is that we may not see this as fans watching from home.
I know.
I was like, oh, it'd be kind of boring to watch. I'm like, honestly, I'm excited to watch this. I want to see those. I think those pulls are going to get gnarly, and again, the second half of this test is going to be awesome.
I think watching the machine into the pool on all three of them is going to be really, really interesting as a coach and pretty cool to see as a fan. I really think it would be cool.
All right, let's get to test number 2. We have an interval-based test. We have as many reps as possible in 3 minutes of 5 ring complexes, which is 1 toe, 2 ring, 1 muscle up, 1 ring dip, followed by 20 pistols.
Thank you.
Yep. I was like, no, 20 pistols, and then max burpees over box. Complete 3 rounds of this AMRAP. You get a 1-minute break in between. Men will wear a 20-pound ruck while women will wear a 10. And then men will jump on a 30-inch box or get on a 30-inch box or whatever, over a 30-inch box as it reads here.
Right.
And women will get over a 24-inch box. And when you look at this initially, I know everyone's like, hey, toes to ring. It's like, I don't give a shit if it's in a complex.
Right.
I'm actually fine with it in a complex because all I look at is the bottom half of the movement, the full movement, and the top half of the movement. No different than saying like a power clean, a hang squat clean, and then like a full clean or whatever.
Right.
So like in a complex setting, fine. If it was 5 or like 20 toes to rings into 20
Stupid.
pistols, my brain would have exploded. However, a ring complex, no shocker to see something like that after hearing, Boz all the time warning us rings aren't just for ring dips and muscle ups. And here we have a complex. Take the ruck out of it for a second. How do you like this complex as a gymnastics complex versus, say, a barbell complex?
I think it is a very fun complex. I've programmed this for athletes a lot in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I played with these a lot in the past.
However,
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The hard part will be judging on the extension on the muscle up and on the ring dip. Because the last time when we have done ring dips in the past, the way that they've done it is they put that strap across the strap so you can see where your shoulders go to.
Yes.
You're not going to be able to do that up overhead. At least I can't see that because you're going to have to dip your head underneath that when you go to do your to come through on the muscle up. So I don't see that being the case. So now all of a sudden you're going to be relying on people getting the extension. And if they don't get the extension, let's say you mess up the extension or you push back on the ring muscle up part. Does that mean that whole complex doesn't count, or you just have to redo the muscle up again?
Yeah, I guess it doesn't really say it has to be unbroken.
Right.
Which, honestly, I don't see any benefit of breaking up this complex.
No, not at all. Other than the fact that if you fail in the middle, like I can see if you get the no rep on the dip, okay, just redo the dip. But like if you don't do the muscle up, you're going to get a no rep. Okay. I mean, the communication between the judge and the athlete on that, I think is going to be hard to judge.
Yeah.
So I like the movement for training. I just don't know how it'll turn out. I think it's fine. I like the idea for competition. I just don't know how it'll turn out. I think there's a lot of opportunities of it getting jacked up.
Yeah.
And bad reps. And that's going to be a big deal. Also the ruck, it is different. The ruck is different with it sitting on your back like that.
Well, and here's a couple of things I've noticed when I'm watching. Obviously, we have Colton Mertens on here doing this ring complex, is that the ruck is going to impede a lot of movement for some athletes that may not have either good mobility, looking more at the pistols, but on this is what do you normally see on ring muscle ups on this kip swing through? Usually a lot more, maybe like chest through the shoulders.
Yeah.
A lot more layout. I think that bag is going to be limiting people's ability to have a full swing that they're used to. Now, if you look at Colton here, is that he actually does what a lot of gymnastic coaches will do, and he'll do that press out with those straight arms, almost like a lever out.
Right.
To offset the limiter that is the ruck pack being on the back of the shoulders, which doesn't allow people to swing through as much. So I see the bag not only being a weight interference with this test, right, but also forcing people to, I'm going to say, execute on a more technical level, whether it's good form or bad form or just different form in general, to see how they can adapt to not just the weight added to this gymnastics test, but the positions it puts you in.
Well, I think one of the things that I'm happy that CrossFit did was they announced the ruck early. So it gave the athletes the opportunity to practice this, to figure out the difference. Because I think Steven had this up there, the fact that I think most athletes, if you're at a higher end level competitor, have done muscle ups with a vest on. Maybe not a lot of them, but I mean, you've played with it if nothing else. It is vastly different when it's spread out all around you versus when it's all on your back. So the fact that this is what I like that they did here, rather than like surprising everybody with the crossover, is they gave everyone the opportunity to like, okay, go and play. They all have the strength to do it. It's a matter of figuring it out so that they can be efficient with it. And I think that that's one of the things that's going to be pretty fun to watch. I think a lot of these athletes are going to make it look like it's like they don't have anything on their back at all. They're going to be so good. And that's going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah.
But even like with Colton, you can see that some of his press outs, like they're going to be close just because it's a weird position. It's a different position with it sitting on your back like that. You don't have any of the weight in the front.
Yeah.
It's going to be unique. But I think you're right. There is going to be a limiting factor, or at least a different sensation with the weight towards the back, pulling your shoulders back, and that's going to change that swing.
Renat's question is the 10-20 ruck appropriate, or should they give the women heavier? The reason why I actually like this, my first knee-jerk reaction, I was like, 14 pounds, what the F? I was like, wait, they're doing the same number of complexes.
Right, same number of reps.
So they're doing 5 complexes just like the men. So I agree with the 10-pound versus the 14-pound. Otherwise, I would say use the 14, but only do like 3 or 4 complexes relative to the men. So I'm okay with this weight because, look, this is all going to come down to that press out on the second dip.
Yep.
Especially on the women's side, when you just think upper body pressing, stamina, and fatigue and failure. Right? On average, that'll be a more challenging thing, just like any other gymnastics test between the men and women. So a lighter bag with the same number of reps, I think, is a good call.
Yeah. And it'll be really interesting. Classically, the men have the harder time getting into the rings, not so hard getting up on that dip segment, whereas the women are flip-flopped. So you're going to see a lot of really struggling, strict ring dips after that muscle up, which I think is going to be really interesting on the women's side. And then I think it's going to be really interesting to watch the guys to see what happens when they get into that third round. And they're fatigued now. Like they start losing that press out on those on the burpees.
Yeah.
That's really going to change what that complex looks like.
Jeffrey's question, why can I do toes to rings and not toes to bar?
Because the rings are moving.
Yes.
There you go. One moves and one doesn't.
Yeah, you can move the rings into position, right? You can manipulate your kip based off the ring movement themselves. It doesn't require as much of a core demand as a toes to bar does, which is all reasons why I don't like toes to rings in a competitive setting.
Totally. Remember
as a movement by themselves.
Remember way back when I think it was Camille had her rig was kind of a wobbly rig, and we were doing we had to do bar muscle ups, and it made it a lot easier.
Or the chest to bars on like an 8-foot long pull-up bar, and it's like a spring-loaded.
Totally.
Yeah. The other thing about this is when we talk mobility, the single leg or the pistols, like if you don't have good mobility, especially ankle mobility, this ruck is not your friend.
Oh man, all that weight hanging to the back. Everyone that does weighted pistols, they do it with a weight in the front because you can manipulate that weight.
The other thing too is, what do most people do if they don't have the flexibility, say in their hamstrings, to get in a good position? They lean forward to maybe grab that toe. Well, that backpack, not only is it weighted behind you and it's going to limit your ability to do that, it also has your shoulders pinned back in the shoulder straps that you can't round as much in front. So I think if you have poor mobility, this is going to be exponentially more difficult for you to do this.
Well, and I think you're going to have to decide where you want, what movement are you going to try to mitigate through, the pistols or the rings? Because you're going to have to set the tension of your bag on your back to that one. Like if you're doing the rings, how much you want that thing slopping around when you're moving around and it whapping you in the back as you're trying to do your kip, or do you want it to be a little looser on your pistols so that it can hang down a little bit lower, not pull your shoulders back as much so you can reach out to your foot? I know that I have great ankle mobility, but I'm going to be reaching to my foot because I'm going to use my leg to try to pull me forward. Unless they say I can't touch my leg, then I'll be bummed.
I wonder, I'm assuming they're going to have a waist strap. That seems like the safest option here.
Maybe.
Unbuckling it for pistols.
Yeah, if that's possible.
Or they're going to have to like keep it on.
I don't know. I mean, most of the rucks they're set pretty high. I mean, you saw that one that
Yeah.
Mertens had, like that was pretty high. Was there a strap on that one?
Yeah.
A waist strap? Was there?
Waist strap. Yeah.
Hmm.
Last piece here, the max burpee over box, 30 inches for men, 24 inches for women. A lot of questions here. Is it hands on the box? Totally changes the stimulus of the test. Is it a jump over? Is it I doubt it's going to be this, a clear over? Like, what is it going to be? And that detail is going to drastically change the way people approach this test.
And it's interesting because you can't not think it's going to be something different.
Right. And
they don't write it this way.
We've seen all three versions at regionals.
Right.
We've seen burpee box clear overs. I think that was in that chipper with the overhead squats, handstand walks, and like the 50 burpee box jump overs at the end. You had clear overs on your last 10.
Yeah.
We've had burpee box get overs in the 2017 finale with the Echo Bike and the box get overs at 30 inches with hands on the box.
Yeah.
And we've just seen just burpee box jump overs. I believe we saw those in the 2012 finale.
Yeah.
Back in, I just said 2012. So we've seen all versions. It's just a question of what version are we going to get here?
Regardless of that third round, it's going to be so nasty. Yeah. It's going to be so nasty.
Yeah. And the last question before we move on to the next one is, details aside, this being the first day of tests of this long aerobic chipper into this interval-based gymnastic complex triplet.
Oh, dude, the pulling from the first event into the pulling on this event, like no one's even thinking about the pull on the muscle up, although we just did all that pulling in the first event.
And the pull usually isn't that bad, but with the ruck, it now makes it that much harder.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm curious. I am excited to see this. I think this will be really fun to watch.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this box is going to advance, hopefully down the floor as they get their reps in. I believe all the reps are going to count.
Yeah.
And they should, because there's going to be people that may not get to the box.
That's right.
And so do they get a 0 or do they not get the other reps they didn't do in the buy-in? So
that's total reps. I think you're right.
Yeah. Which it should. It should.
Right.
It should.
Right.
All right. Test number 3. We have semifinals, Linda. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deadlifts, dumbbell bench press, and squat cleans. The same weights on the barbell for the deadlift and the cleans that we had back in 2018 regional, Linda. But now we have dumbbells for the bench press, 90 pounds for the men, 60 pounds for the women. And, okay, we've got a repeat. We've got a classic girl benchmark test. One that is one of Boz's favorite of all time. If you guys listen to their Very Not Random podcast with Pat Sherwood, and I think they went through their favorite benchmark tests or workouts in general. And this is one of Boz's. And I know he likes this rep scheme, so I'm not terribly surprised to see this here. And then the dumbbells, however, like, what is it about these dumbbells that are going to change this test than the 2018 one?
Well, anytime you go to a dumbbell from a barbell, the amount of stability that's needed to stabilize those dumbbells. I mean, we were worried and we saw a handful of people fail on the barbell. Now, granted, I think it was it's a little bit heavier. It was like what was it, 205 and 180, 185?
I'll look it up.
185, 135?
Let's see.
I think I just had that. What the heck? But the fact that it's a little bit, it's a little bit lighter, but it's virtually the same weight. But now you have that split individually on each arm. So if you have a weak side, which most people do, this is I think this is going to be the hard part for sure. It's not going to be the deadlifts.
Same numbers.
195, 135. Okay. So 180 and 120 on the bench press. Yeah. I think that's going to be the factor right there. You're going to see people failing
so much harder.
So much harder. And you're going to end up getting the dumbbells deeper. You're going to get a further travel, range of motion on each one of those because of where that dumbbell is going to stop. It's going to stop at your armpit where your chest can stick out another 2, 3, 4 inches, depending.
Yeah.
So that over 55 reps. That's a lot of distance that those are traveling.
Mhm.
So I think that the dumbbells are definitely going to change it up and make it different. I don't know if you saw the video that John Colty put up that I think CrossFit eventually put it back up too, but it was me basically hammering his clean style.
Oh, didn't
Just
he have
hammer. I'm like, dude, that is the worst form, but he's moving so fast, but it is the worst form. And then I got hammered. Man, I was like, this guy doesn't even know what he's talking about. And I'm like, no, I know what I'm talking about. It was shitty form, but yes, he was moving so damn fast. And it was awesome to be able to see that. So I don't think it'll be that sort of a thing this time. This time in this event, it will all be dumbbell. And I think like that with bench, I feel your range of where you start to get close to failure is a lot wider than you have with dumbbells.
Mhm.
Dumbbells, it's like you're good, fail, and it's
Yes.
done. And then you're almost kind of like handstand push-ups where you don't really have a choice but to sit and wait.
Well, there's an additional movement to the dumbbell press, and that's just getting the dumbbells into an appropriate position. Barbell is just rack and unrack.
Yep.
In a lock of the elbow and unrack. Here, I'm assuming they're going to be taking these things from the floor.
Ground.
You've got to pull those up to your knees. You have to lay back and push those up. And whether the reps start, like, where does the rep start?
Right.
Are you going to have to do, I think at Wadapalooza, it was the rep starts at the top.
Right.
So getting them into position, which is usually just from the bottom up, which is basically an entire rep in it by itself.
Well,
how is that going to work?
So what you do is like old school, I'm talking old school lifting style on this, is you keep your arms straight the whole time. You put the dumbbells right on your knees and you roll back, keeping your arms straight. So you start all the way up with the straight arm. You don't go to your chest and then press it out to start. That would be one already. I would count that as one. So I think that it's going to be interesting to watch that, especially at the set of like the round of 6. So you're past the halfway point. And now fatigue really starts to set in. And I think that's going to be really interesting. I'm glad they put it in. I like this event a lot.
I like it too. And the other two movements are not helping your bench.
No.
Deadlift, do you think the lats and the back of the shoulders, that whole posterior, even like the upper body, right? That's getting smoked. The cleans, add the same text from the deadlift and then into the front rack, receiving that bar. Like, it's just a shoulder shit show, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah. I'm just really excited to watch what the dumbbells do. I think it's going to be good. I don't think the deadlifts won't be an issue for any of like you're good athletes. It's not going to be an issue at all.
After these reps,
same thing with the cleans. I mean, again, I think that it's going to be important to like what John Colty did that shocked me with how he performed was he was hinged over for every deadlift and every clean. He never once had his shoulders over his hips on any of those reps. And for most people, and we're talking like 90% of the people, even at these weights that aren't that heavy, if you're doing that many reps of all bent over like that, you're just smoking your posterior chain, smoking your low back, and that you're just ruined after that. So and again, we had pistols that will be before this. So again, you're going to be in that bent over hinged position. So you have to start looking at how these things are starting to stack up on these athletes. So I don't think that those weights will be a big deal. I really don't, especially since everyone has seen it in regional competition. Everyone has played with it at that level. But the dumbbells will be different. I still don't think that we have a lot of people that are doing a lot of dumbbell bench. So I think that will be no. So I think that'll be really fun to watch.
And if
that'll be the key piece.
They're doing it for strength. If they're putting up this weight in dumbbells, I mean, I don't want to guarantee, but like usually they're like, hey, I'm doing dumbbell work to develop upper body pressing strength.
Yeah.
Not this weight in a anaerobic based fatigued test. Steven made a good point here, and I think he's spot on, is that, a barbell, people could manipulate body position to get the rep done, and the dumbbells do not allow that.
Exactly. You're going deeper, and you have to go straight up, which is going to be the furthest line of travel from top to bottom, 100%.
Caden's question is, what are your thoughts on the deadlift weight between 295 for men and 220 for women?
I think it's fine. The way that they did this last time, and it's kind of interesting. I wonder if they actually did the same data. Did Boz say?
Not
Or if they
yet.
just
Just
chose
said-
to keep it
I mean, we knew why they picked these weights
originally.
Right.
So originally, okay, so
Well,
Linda
also,
is a
some people
body weight
look-
workout.
There we go. Good.
So they grabbed everyone's weight and then took the average, and that's how they decided to choose your weights between the 3 barbells. Now, granted, you don't have the barbell for the bench press portion here, but they did the 75% for the
1.5 times body weight
for deadlift.
for deadlift. It's
Body weight
for bench press, and 0.75
0.75.
for the clean.
Yeah. So I think that's where they came up with those weights, and I still think it's still think that those are valid, across the field.
Yeah, we haven't really,
And if they're too light,
body tape has been this hasn't changed much.
totally. And if it's too light, they're just going to go that much faster.
True, which does not make it any.
Which makes the dumbbells that much more expensive.
Yeah, true. Okay, so my 3 movement. You've seen some people talk about this, but the parallels between the first 3 events in 2023 and the first 3 events in 2018. Right, 2018 it was triple threes.
Yep.
Monostructural. Linda was actually the second event in 2018, which was weightlifting. And then in the third event, I believe it was like ring muscle ups, handstand walks, and pistols.
Yep.
Right. And it was just pure monostructural triplet, weightlifting triplet, gymnastics triplet. And I thought it was awesome. And we have the same structure here with a twist. So we still have a monostructural triplet with a sled pull weightlifting twist, an odd object weightlifting twist. Then we have a gymnastics triplet, muscle ups, pistols, burpee box jump overs with a odd object weightlifting twist. And then we have Linda weightlifting. And the twist is the odd object that is the dumbbell in Linda.
And I think what's great about those odd objects is it breaks each of those things up better than what we had breaks in the 2018 version of that. Like the fact that you're having to do the hand over hand pull, that breaks up that monostructural that you had when you're doing triple threes. And just that break changes mindset, changes what your body now has to do. I mean, there's an effect there that I think is really cool. And you're right. And that happens in every single one of the events. So they took that initial ingredient list and then gave it a little spin. That's cool.
Yeah, a little pep. Splashed in a little sriracha. Odd object. The other thing it's curious is that when you look at, say, the 2018 test, you look at triple threes. It's like that is a cardio bunny.
Yep.
You're like that specialist of sorts will succeed. You look at Linda, and that is just a weightlifting not a weightlifting person, someone who just strong. I'll say strong, fit people.
Oh yeah, totally.
And then gymnastics is like the small gymnastic micro human. With these little twists, right? When you put in all machine work for this, it is not only do you have to be super fit in, say, cardiorespiratory endurance, but it does favor
power output,
which typically is usually reserved for those bigger athletes. Bigger athletes work the machines better, but you're not going to succeed only by being a bigger athlete in test 1. You also have to be fit as all get out.
Well, and
that with the sled pull or whatever this pull is going to be as well.
Well, okay, and if you look at what the weight was, so 225, if we're taking it strictly what that is, versus what they had at the games, which was 310 for the men on the men's side, that weight. Women's were set that accordingly. The largest chunk of time is going to be on the run. So your lighter athletes that would do really, really well, smaller athletes that did really well on the triple threes.
Right.
They get to stay in the game, even though that's a machine. It's not a machine like the ski erg. Not a machine like an Echo bike. So you get to be able to have a little bit of space where you can move back into the mix. So you're right. It doesn't just straight favor one type of athlete.
Right.
You get the mix by that, which is really cool.
Yeah. And I see two things. Like, you either have to have great cardiorespiratory endurance and some strength for the sled stuff or the pulls.
Yeah.
Or you can be a bigger athlete and maximize your ability on the machines, but you must have decent to above decent cardiorespiratory endurance to succeed here. Then I look at test 2. Great. All this gymnastics, muscle ups, complex, pistols, burpees over a box, ruck. Right? The bomb that is the ruck is like, okay, well, all these gymnastic freaks who will succeed, but now you added that weightlifting element, which opens the door back up for a different group of athletes. So not only do you have to be great with gymnastics, but you have to be able to, maybe it's based off your percentage body weight with that ruck's going to be for you. You have to be able to manage that ruck, or you're a bigger, stronger athlete. That ruck isn't as detrimental to you, but you should also have your gymnastic house in order.
Okay, all those athletes can do ring muscle ups, all of them. If you're a 200-pound guy and you add 20 pounds, okay, you're 220. That is heavier, no doubt. If you're 160 pounds and you add 20 pounds, like, that percentage of increased weight on you did go up.
Yeah.
So yeah, you may be able to do a lot of reps normally without any weight, but if you haven't been playing with the fact of doing it now with more weight, you have your capacity versus your strength, and that changes quickly, which I think we're going to start to see in that event on the second round, which will be interesting.
And I like the tale of two athletes in each test, in test 1 and test 2, based off the odd implement that they threw in there.
Yeah, totally.
And then in the Linda version, it's like deadlifts, cleans. Okay, nobody's got an advantage or disadvantage there, really, those top athletes that are going to the games, but how you navigate that dumbbell. I just think it's really cool to see a comparison to 2018, but this maybe unintentional singular wrinkle in all three, centering around something that's an odd object or different test within that totally changes the test itself. I thought it was a pretty cool little twist.
Which I liked all three as we went through the first 3 events. I like all of them.
Yes. Bill wanted to make sure you guys knew that before we got to test number 4. So we are still in Saturday, day number 2. Day number 1 is test 1 and test 2. We have 3 tests coming in day number 2. And the first one being for load, 800-meter assault runner, max snatch. The time you have to complete all of this is 6 minutes. You'll take a 2-minute break, and then you'll take that into test 5, which is a 6-minute running, or not a 6-minute, a 6-minute time cap, but you'll start on the barbell. Yeah. You'll start on the barbell, which will be 8 snatches at 185 and 125, and then an 800-meter assault air runner to finish. So back-to-back test. We don't know what the scores are going to be. There was a lot of speculation early on of what the run is going to be, because originally when it was posted, it was just run. I think it was yesterday they unveiled that it'll be on the air runners. Like, is it going to be around the arena? Is it going to be shuttle runs? Is it going to be 2 400s? How is this going to set up? Bill, are you happy that it's not shuttle runs versus the air runner, or how are you feeling right now?
I would feel better if it was shuttle runs, which is stupid to say.
Ooh.
That's how bad. Like, you guys have to understand that's how bad it is.
You're 59 seconds or 59 minutes and 10 seconds into the show, and Bill just said he was first shuttle.
I mean, we just ran 2,000 meters on the assault runner. Now we got to run 1,600 meters on the assault runner. Now, granted, how you're running each of those 800 meters is going to be different. I get it.
Right.
But we just did it. And I think, honestly, you would get more of an effect of doing a down and back that's going to now affect your snatch. You have your respiratory part. Like, okay, fine. I get it. You're trying to lift heavy under fatigue. I get it. The last one is going to be all out, but then even better. Like, those to me make sense to make them shuttle runs. And we already did the run. We already did 2,000 meters of running. We don't need to have another mile of running on an air runner. The the point you were making about the run, it's an important part of fitness. Got it. We checked it off the box already. We already did it. We don't need to do it again. We don't have thrusters and thrusters.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to do another set of muscle ups anywhere. Ring muscle ups.
True.
So why are we running again on the Air Runner again?
Yeah. I can see the argument of 800 at this pace is a different movement.
It's 6 minutes. No one's going to race the 800 meters on the first part. Nobody. They want to lift heavy.
Yeah.
So you chill out and you give yourself whatever 2.5 minutes to snatch.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because this one doesn't matter. This is all about weight anyway. So you have to prepare for that. You're not going to need a whole lot of attempts.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have, say, whatever, 3-4 good attempts, whatever, 3. The last one is all out. That one, okay, now the run matters, but I still think that in that case, it would have been more fun to see shuttle. Now we get to see shuttle runs.
Yeah.
Rather than people doing it at home 9,000 times. But I just, again, if they would have had shuttle runs, that would have been like those fucking shuttle runs. But at least it would have made sense. Because if someone would have said, well, should have put them on the Air Runner? I'd be, the hell no. You don't put them on. We just did the Air Runner yesterday. We don't need to do it again. That's just me.
I was actually just about to ask a question like this. Thank you, Lido. Any chance that it's not a 1-rep max and it's pick a weight and do as many reps as possible for total load lifted?
I mean, it's possible. Honestly, if they
How about
do,
this? Which would you prefer? A 1-rep max attempt or this option, which I really like, actually, is you pick the loading and you get basically the poundage for every rep you do. So maybe I'm going 75 and just Randy style burning it down to 75, 150, 225, 300. And then someone next to me goes 225, 450. Right? It's, I don't know. What would you rather see?
I would rather see that than a 1-rep max.
The 4 load, you pick the weight, you do the reps. Like there's a test. This is an old.com, and it's basically like lift 1,000 pounds as fast as you can.
Yeah.
So you pick the weight, you pick the movement, or maybe it's like ground overhead, 1,000 pounds as fast as possible.
Yeah. I like that.
It's like 10,000 pounds or something because it's like 4 clean and jerks at 225, boring.
Now I like that. However, I think that they need to say ahead of time so people can come in with a strategy. Because I don't like the fact that you could lose an event based on just picking a bad strategy because you didn't pick the right weights, even though you could have done whatever. Okay, but the math would have been wrong, and it just would have been more advantageous that in this 2.5 minute time frame, if I would have gone 105 pounds instead of 75 pounds. You know what I mean? Like to let them kind of get an idea of, okay, well, what should I be thinking? To say that in the max snatch. I like that idea. I'm all for the idea.
What about picking? So say,
or give you 3 weights to choose from.
Or just they're doing 185 and 125 on the back end. What if it's that a truncated timetable and it's the run into max reps at that weight? Not for load. It's just like max reps at 185 and 125. And on the back end, it's like it's basically the opposite.
Right. I like that. I do like that.
More uniform balance of run fast, lift a lot of do a lot of reps, or do a lot of reps and then run fast.
I like that. I think that would be fun. I think if they were going to do that, I think they should make it 50 points each.
Well, that was going to be my next question: is do you score these as 100-point tests?
I think it depends on the test. As written, they're completely different.
Yes.
I think that we've gotten a lot of athletes now through the different qualifications of like heavy I mean, I think it's okay to start lifting 1 rep max stuff here. We've already gone through a whole bunch. The problem is we've already done that so many times. So we know we have a lot of strong people that have already gotten through here from the open, from the quarterfinal. So we already know that the strength is there. So it's not like, someone's going to snatch 305 and then someone else is only going to be able to hit like 145 on the men's side or something like that. I'm talking men's weights on that. At 6 events, I'm okay to do them as individual events.
As 100 point?
Sure. I like the last event, or the event 5. I actually like event 5 better than I like this one.
Yeah.
Because I think that now the run matters. The run doesn't matter on this. Like, don't even have the run.
Yeah.
Have them go 5 minutes and just pick a 1 rep max.
I think after this weekend, and people are bringing in ideas, which are great. Keep them coming, King. When we analyze the programming,
see how it played out.
See how it plays out, right? Always got to see how it plays out on paper, or on the field versus on paper.
Yeah.
I would like to do an analyzing show and then a reprogramming show.
100%. That's what we do.
Yeah. I do have some ideas where I'm like shuffling around a lot of different pieces, but not taking out anything, or maybe adding something new, but it's not going to disrupt the whole system.
Yeah.
That I'm curious of how it would.
And again, like, we have to see what we have all these little questions on every single one of these events. Like, how is this going to work? What do you mean by this one? So once we see that, we'll be able to make a better call on it. But yeah, absolutely, I think we should do that for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's move to Sunday. By the way, Saturday, I think that leaderboard is going to be all over the place.
Yep.
Linda, dumbbells, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen there? And then back-to-back tests, 50 points, 100 points, chlorophyll, borophyll, who gives a shit? Is the leaderboard's going to flip after test 4 and then flip again after test 5, especially if it's 100 points. Like, by the end of Saturday, who knows?
Oh, and Burpee Dude, we analyze. We're the analyzers. He's just the talker.
Yeah.
Just so you
know.
know.
He's just dude. All right. The start of Sunday, we have a chipper. Oh, am I still here?
Yeah.
Okay. It is 4-time 20 overhead squats at 185 and 125 into a 500-meter row, 3 handstand walk pirouettes, 2 seated legless rope climbs, 20 strict wall-facing handstand push-ups, 20 seated legless rope climbs, 3 handstand walk pirouettes, 500-meter row, 20 overhead squats. So we have our chipper. It's like a skills chipper. Some WMG. I mean, you start with a weightlifting, you go to the monostructural, and then it's just a gymnastic meat sandwich in the middle, and you go back to the monostructural and weightlifting.
Is this like the was it 2016 regional? It was 225 overhead. It was overhead squats.
I think it was a bike buy-in.
I know there. Oh yeah, I thought there was rowing in there too, but it was the same kind of setup.
Yeah, there's a row in the middle. There's a 500-meter row in there.
Yeah. Now, granted, there's some different elements, like with the pirouettes and the seated rope climbs. Those are going to be interesting because, again, we don't know what that means exactly.
Yeah.
And can you do? So it says a handstand walk pirouettes.
Right.
So what does that mean exactly? How far do you have to handstand walk?
I'm looking at. I'm going to click over to the teams really quick because the teams are also doing pirouettes.
But wasn't it just pirouettes?
That's what I'm trying to find. Is that test 3? There's 400-meter assault runner sprint, which is funny that they keep putting it there. It says 3 handstand pirouettes on the team.
Right. So
here it says handstand walk pirouette.
And it doesn't say there's no distance on that either.
Not yet.
So handstand walk pirouette. So does this mean walk down, turn around, walk back, turn around, walk back? I mean, it could mean that.
Yeah.
So you have to do that unbroken?
Right.
I would assume. Which, if that's the case, depending on the length of that could be gnarly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what would you, if let's say it was that? Well, how far would you put it at? 15 feet, 10 feet?
I would probably
First time.
down. First time.
I mean, we're looking at 30 feet straight with 3 turns.
I'd keep it the 25 feet.
75 feet unbroken.
Yeah. Or
I can see that at the games. I don't know
have
about
to
here.
do a pirouette and then walk 25 feet unbroken, and then you can come down.
So 3
So
spins.
you have to do it. No, just one. So
okay.
pirouette, walk 25 feet unbroken. Pirouette, walk 25 feet. Pirouette, walk 25 feet.
Okay.
So it's the beginning. So instead of just planting your hands down and going, you have to do one pirouette before you go.
Got it.
But the 25 feet and the pirouette have to be done together and unbroken.
I like that.
Because if we're looking at the floor plan, I hope, like the overhead squat bar is by the finish line, and you have the rower, and then it's
You
like
work your way
25,
back.
25, 25. Now you're back at the rig, rope climb, wall, rope climb, 25, 25, 25, back to the rower. That would work, right?
Would that be pirouette handstand walk?
Oh, instead of handstand walk, pirouette. I don't know, man. Fuck.
Chest to wall handstand push-up.
Yeah, it says chest to wall push-up. So, like, who knows what that
You don't
means?
touch your chest to the wall.
No, it's not even.
You're going to say chest facing wall handstand push-ups?
Right. Okay, next question. What do you think the seated legless rope climb
Standard
rules are going to be, or the standard?
I don't think. Here's what I say. You have to start and finish on your butt. Doesn't mean you have to stay in an L. It means that you have to start with your butt. Your feet can't touch the ground at all. So you got to be able to go to like some sort of a V. Start your legless rope climb, touch and bring yourself down with your butt touching, not your feet. So your feet, as you're walking up, can go straight, but when you come back down, you got to land on your butt. That's what I say.
Okay, so seated from the floor, pull yourself off the floor. After you get high enough, you can drop your feet. It's still legless.
Yep.
Coming down, 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 and then lift your feet and put your butt on the floor.
And you got to go down to a seated position so your feet can't touch the floor ever.
Ooh, that's good.
That is good, right?
That's good. Do you think they'll make them hold the L the whole time?
No, if they do, there's going to be no reps all over the place.
Yeah, that's rough.
Like these guys we are great athletes, but we're not gymnasts. And they aren't doing that regular enough to be able to do, fatigue like this where you're doing pure straight L sit. I don't think that they'll be able to do that. No matter however they set it up, if it's like actually 90 or if it's 90 to your body, because like sometimes like your leg kind of hangs and you're like, I'm at a 90, but my feet aren't up.
Right.
Because your body's here. I just think that would be really, if that's the case, it's nice on paper, but I think it'd be really hard to judge.
Like a V up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm trying to help them out. I'm hoping they don't do it that way. Nothing about keeping your feet together so that they move at the same time. Does that mean that they're touching, or is it they're in the same plane, or what? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I say go easy like that, meaning seated and your feet can't touch the ground when you start all the way into when you finish.
What about the rows? Do you feel like they have?
No.
Okay.
No one's going to win or push on the row because you want to make sure that you're recovered enough to do your handstand walks and those seated rope climb stuff. You don't want to blow your arms out for the pulling that you're going to have to do, because you have that, then you have you have
just an upper body smash fest,
just smashing. So yeah, I just don't. I think that if anyone, I mean, let everyone have 10 seconds on that. So most people are like hammering through 130, 138, 142. Everyone's going to be like, I think 150 is going to be just fine.
Yeah.
And just cruising. Because I think the other thing that's going to be important are those overhead squats.
Right.
I mean, we saw that at Wadapalooza when they did the back squat, front squat, overhead squat, and how important that overhead squat positioning was. And they brought the weight down on this. It's 185, but that's 40 reps. It's a lot of reps.
40 reps is a lot.
I mean, I like that number. I like the rep set. I like even the weight for that number because it's going to draw people in. You're going to have someone that's winning. They're going to fail with 2 reps left to go, and then they're going to be 8th. Yeah. And I think we're going to see that quite a bit on this event.
I mean, if you look at the 25 reps at that weight, that's just under, say, the average body weight of most of these athletes. But you add in another 5 reps. And we've talked about that trophy case challenge right back in the day of 15 overhead squats at body weight, which was gnarly to get back in the day. And then Dave Castro came out as like, no, 1.5. Was it 1.5 or 1.25?
Yeah.
People's body weights. And they started doing that, which was ridiculous.
Well, that's what Nicole Carroll used to beat everybody on. That was like the showcase. It was like, all right, who's the biggest, baddest athlete out here? And then they'd line up that athlete against Nicole Carroll, and she'd crush them in the overhead squats. Crush them. It's awesome.
Those last overhead squats. So I think I would say the first and last. So when you look at the rows, right, it's like, oh, they don't really have any consequence there unless you make it a consequence.
Right.
You do 20 overhead squats in a row, and then the time you saved by not breaking, which is 10 to 15 seconds, probably at that loading.
Yep.
You use it on the rower. Instead of having to row 145, now I get to row 2 minutes. Now I'm recovering
for the handstand
thing. For a handstand walk pirouette thing. And then I get done with this whole middle piece, 3 handstand walk pirouettes, seated legless rope climb, 20 strict, like just the upper body beating you're getting here in the middle. And then I go back to the rower, and then I'm going to row 2 minutes again.
Yep.
Maybe I'm going to row slower than that. Because if I can row slow, recover 15 seconds slower than you, and put myself in a position to go unbroken at the end, and you break one time, I've caught and passed you.
Totally.
One break and it's over. So make sure you set yourself up on that second row. It's really an entire setup for those 20 overhead squats.
Why not put this event first?
Because then we wouldn't be able to see it.
Well, other than the broadcast schedule part. Yes, that's true.
Fine. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
You know what? I bet you it was first. But since they were talking about how they were going to be, deciding what things they were going to put, they're like, okay, let's just put the long one in the front. And we'll do that. Then we won't have to broadcast that one. I'm going to say yes.
Well, I mean, maybe yes, but I want to watch it. It's not like I don't want to watch it.
I want to see it.
Let's see. Renata, the scoring table are revealed. Draw your dagger. No. I already told you no. They're not going to have a 25-foot legless rope climb from a seated position. And that was, come on.
Dude.
They don't have 25-foot scaffolding to ship to everywhere in the world. Maybe at the games.
Yeah, serious.
Scoring tables are out. Spin, did you already put it on your website?
Yeah, come on, make it easy for us, bro.
Yeah. Someone drop a link. Trying to work the back end and host a show here. Final thoughts on this chipper before we move into the finale.
I like it. I
like it too.
Why the wall facing handstand push-ups?
Why not? Push, pull, push. Pull, push. Okay, overhead squat.
Didn't they have them in the quarterfinals?
Or
was that just the age group?
Yeah, okay. No, they had them in quarterfinals. For test 1 is at the end. 21 at the end.
My point.
Oh.
Why have them again?
What if they were deficit? Would you feel different?
Yes.
Okay.
Make them different. Yeah. Change it up.
Fair.
Thanks.
Okay, fair. Yeah, overhead squat, a squatting press movement, 5-meter row.
Other than that, I like it. I mean, the row doesn't mean anything. Take the row out, whatever.
Yeah, I'm just going through the movement patterns.
But I love it though. Yeah.
Squat press, overhead movement, leg drive pull, overhead press, pull, overhead press, pull. It goes back and forth. Pull, push, pull, push, pull, push, all the way down. I like that too.
Yeah.
I like that too. Scoring table. Oh, Spin's got it. Here we go.
All right, 4 and 5.
Right.
What does it say?
Before we get into the final, we should know how they're scored because it's going to be intense. 60 places. This is the big thing. How are they going to score it? First place, 100. It drops by 3.
Threes.
97, 94, 91, 88, 85, 82. Oh, shoot. It drops by 3. Dang. Consistently.
All the way down?
All the way. Nope. So once you get to 13th place, it goes from 3 drop down to 2. So 14th, it goes 13th is 64, 14th is 62. And then 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, all the way down until we get to 30. 30th place. And then it goes by 1. Dude, 30th place means you middle of the road. You got 30 points. Middle of the road. And it drops by all the way down to, if you get last, you get a 0. Interesting. Teams dropping by 3, looks like all the way through. So if you're on teams, except until you get to
the
34. So 23rd place, you have 34 points, and then it drops by 2 from 24th all the way down.
That's a funny number. How do they pick that? 24th place.
Change it up, I guess, right? All right, so you drop by 3 all the way to 13th place, and then from 14th place down to 30th place, it drops by 2. And then from 31st place all the way down to 60, it drops by 1. Now, the next question is, what is test 4 and 5?
Right.
But if you guys want to see that, you guys can go to Barbell Spin. I'll drop the link in there for the scoring tablet for those of you guys watching on YouTube. There it is. Now we just need to do what is being scored when. All right, last deal. We have the finale. Now, usually the finales are short. Not say usually. As of late. And this one, though it says 3 rounds, 15 and 10 echo bike cows, 20 toes to bar, and then a 60-foot sandbag bear hug carry. The weight being 200 and 150. Slow clap for those weights. Much more standard between men and women as far as difficulty. With a 6-minute cap, I think the initial thought is that this is just like a full send.
Yeah.
But it's not.
It's going to be a full smacker face into the walls, what it's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be an ass kicking. But if you full send round 1,
done.
You're not finishing round 3.
No way.
Now, if somebody wants to do it, I'm not going to tell you not to. I'm not going to tell you not to, draw your dagger. You bitch. Draw your dagger. That scoring table is really going to have a big impact on those 25. You guys are great.
The amount of power output on these rounds. Oh man.
It's like you have to operate in the red, but not all the way in the red. Not in the black.
I would say
by black, I mean fading to black, passing
in the reddish orange.
Red, yeah.
in the like you're just hovering under the red zone. And you need to know exactly where your body is on this. Because literally 1 calorie faster than you need to go, done.
You tip the scales too soon.
Yep. Then you are in recovery mode and just like you're the guy that jumps out of the car as it's moving and is like bouncing down the street all the way to the end of the time for 6 minutes. That's the end. Oh man. Now
with his time cap, okay, look at the bike pace, 15, 10 cals, what, 30, 45 seconds?
Yeah, I'd say for these guys, 30, yeah.
That's pretty quick.
No, they're going to go.
A range, right? A range. I mean, there's all these people are studs, men and women studs.
Yeah.
30, 45 seconds, toes to bar, unbroken.
Grip for your sandbag right there.
Grippity grip, grip, grip. If they go unbroken, what is that taking? Say 45 seconds? Let's say another 45.
I think that's being generous. That's being
40?
generous to get up on the. But yeah, I'll say that. Okay, just go that even.
1.5 seconds per.
Yeah.
I think is about the average time
Right.
for toes to bar. So 1.5. So what
Look
is
at
that?
30 seconds. Yeah.
Okay, 30 to 45 seconds. So we got
Yeah.
another range. 30 to
Right.
45 for the bike, 30 to 45 for the toes to bar. You're looking at a minute to a minute and a half range. And then you have the sandbag carry, which aside from the time of picking it up and walking it through 60 feet, I hope it's just a straight shot and no like turnaround. Or do you want to turn around? If it's a straight shot, let's assume the bike is by the rig, which is away from the finish line typically. It'd be carry down, carry back, carry to the finish line.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be cool to see that. There is a change. You feel that more when you have to turn.
Right.
Because you got to turn your whole body, and the where the weight of the bag is setting is a little bit different, rather than like you can just kind of sit it up on your hips and make it all the way down kind of thing, holding on for dear life, where you're like, if I have to do anything other than keep moving forward, the bag's coming down.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. The turns will definitely make a difference.
Do the upper body on day 2?
Smashing.
Smashed.
Yeah.
Dang. It's like after everything we just did in test 6.
Yeah.
Squat, row, walk, pull, handstand, hop. And then you get it here. It's like you're going to finish that first sandbag carry, get back to the bike and be like, oh no. You get up to the rig for the toes to bar. Will we see a foot race after I hope so. That'd be awesome. I want him to carry it to the platform.
But I have to say.
What?
Why are we doing Echo Bike again?
It's a good question.
Like in this event, I dig it. In the first event, I dig it.
Yeah, okay.
In both events, I don't dig it.
Well,
I dig the run in the first event. I dig the run in the 4 and 5. In both of them, I don't dig it.
Fair.
There are other ways to get the things that you want to do out of that. Like why are we repeating stuff? If we would have had a sandbag carry, a light one time and a heavy one another time, people are like, what the hell are they doing? Mm-hmm. I don't think if they would program it, but why are we doing it like this? I don't understand. I like the event though.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Fits for the rest of the season. I like the event. I don't like how it's all put together.
God, I feel like we've been saying that for years.
Yes.
I like the event,
but
now when it's all put together. We'll definitely touch on that when we analyze the programming. We'll for sure probably pick and choose certain things when we reprogram
100%
the semifinals. But by itself, at the final, I think you're going to be able to see a lot of cool things happen during this final.
Because
bike breaks on the rig.
Last event, high intensity, lots of pressure, hopes and dreams on the line, which is going to put people into some ugly places.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that last part, you nailed it, is that there are so many external factors that's going to dictate the intensity of this test. Time cap is one of them. As you said, being in a certain position, whether you're inside the qualifying, I believe it's 12 men. I think it's 11 women, 12 men. Mm-hmm. Being on the outside, like I'm assuming or hoping like 7th through 18th by Sunday, like no one is safe.
Right.
No one is safe, especially with the test. Like with the tests that we have coming up on the final day of competition, maybe nobody from top to bottom is set. Because if you blow up on those legless climbs or you can't figure out the pirouette,
done.
You're done.
Done.
And if you get 30th place, you're going to lose 70 potential points. 70, 30. Like I said, you get 30th, which is mid-pack. You get 30 points. Mid-pack. In an event that could have so many things go wrong in test 6. And on this one, same thing can happen. Mm-hmm. So many things you could maybe have held on too long in the first round of toes bar. Now you have to drop the bag or you have trouble picking it up, and then it only makes it harder. People forget when you go back to the bike, your grip in your arms, don't get a break. If you want to push that bike, you have to push the bike. You have to use your arms.
Gotta use your arms. I know. Again,
it's gonna be great.
It'll be a great final. I mean, I'm envisioning it, and it's awesome.
Yeah, in my brain.
In my brain, it looks awesome. So, but like you said, I mean, we got to see how it plays out because there are a lot of questions.
Okay, so take the questions out of it, which is unfair for judging, but like first reaction of the test as a whole for semifinals, standardized program across the world, getting people to CrossFit Games. How do you quick first reaction assess the entirety of the test?
My quick reaction is going to be, I think there are going to be some fun things to watch. My quick reaction is I wish that we would have had some heavier weights here than opposed to having heavier weights in the earlier, early in quarterfinals and I mean, again, if the 1 rep max snatch is a true 1 rep max, if that's what that is, I just don't really, I don't like that being heavy. I think that the 185 is appropriate. It'll make for a good race on the overhead squats. The 185, is it 135? Yeah. Did they have 135?
Nope, 125.
Damn you! It's another X, another. I like the events. I think the events are going to be fun. I'm having a hard time because of the doubling of movements in events, and that as a programmer, it's irking me. You have a hard time with the numbers being set a certain way, which I do too. But this one, it's like, like I would. It's like once you put it in, it's off the list of ingredients. Like you can't re-put it back in there again. I already had the turkey dinner. I can't put turkey dinner again for lunch.
And to put that in context for people is that take a movement like a thruster. It's like if you had heavy thrusters in test 1 and then light thrusters in test 7.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
Just for people that can't really understand like where you're coming from. You think that's fair?
Yeah, totally. I mean, again, I like the individual events for the most part. I think that they're going to be really fun to watch. All of them. Even the first one. Even the one with all the machines. Cool. I think it'll be fun. I would think no one will be able to see it, but I think it'll be fun to watch. It'll be exciting to watch the post-production version of the that event.
Hopefully.
Someone will get something on Instagram.
We got some phones.
But again, like I'm really trying to wait to reserve my.
Yeah, that's why I just meant like first gut reaction.
Yeah, first gut. It's like they'll be fun. There should be some fun ones.
Yeah. My first reaction looking at all these is that I don't feel like there's a stone that's not unturned. I feel like we touched a lot of bases here where no one individual or type of athlete is going to succeed or fail because of the programming. I was thinking about this phrase is that, we say well-rounded. And the other phrase, like you have to be extremely well-rounded. And to turn that one more time is that I actually think you have to be well-rounded at your extremes now. You have to be able to have great cardiorespiratory endurance, looking at test 1. You have to have great high-skilled gymnastics with the pirouettes, the wall-facing handstand push-ups, and the legless from the seated position rope climb. You have to have great strength and technique coming off an 800-meter run and trying to hit a max snatch, right? Or how you navigate those dumbbells, right? And so I think it's not just being extremely well-rounded as a CrossFit athlete to be one of the best, but now you have to be well-rounded at the extremes of our test.
As you were talking, there was my inner voice that was saying, shut the fuck up, dude. No, this isn't strong enough. This isn't heavy enough for these athletes. But I do think that the elements of strength, there are elements of strength that are there that aren't normally tested. Like those seated legless rope climbs are going to be a bitch.
Yeah.
Those dumbbells are not generally heavy, but 55 of those at 180 pounds and 120 pounds for the athletes in dumbbell form like that is going to be hard. No, there isn't the classic heavy clean and heavy deadlift and heavy, but there are heavy other objects and other items that are in there that you're right. Like,
and that's what I mean, like an extreme,
yeah,
different type of test,
right,
of a gymnastics, of a monostructural, of a weightlifting are now in there.
Yeah.
And so having well-roundedness, not just in our classic depiction of what CrossFit has, Boss is pushing those boundaries, and now we're testing on the edges of those.
Yeah.
Not just everything in the middle. So
it'll be interesting.
First look.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see it. I can't wait. Starts in 2 days. I hope everyone gets to see as much as they want to. We'll see. I think the 2 tests that I feel like most people want to see, they may or may not see. So we'll see. But yeah, I travel tomorrow. I leave early.
Yeah, go get it, dude. It's gonna be fun.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll pull up if I have internet connection. Maybe I'll just like live stream the.
Oh, you should. Just Instagram live it.
I mean, I'm not calling that event.
That's
clearly,
right.
I'll have time on my hands. We'll see. But thank you guys for rolling with us today. Those are our first blush thoughts of the semifinals. We did the teams last week, so now we're all set and ready for semifinals. Honestly, tests aside, I'm excited. I'm so excited that we have like standardized programming across all semifinals. We get to watch week to week to week. That's not boring to me. I know it might be for some people, and that's your opinion and the way you watch sports, but I can't wait to see what people do in week 2 after what people did in week 1, and week 3 after 2 and 1. It's going to be a fun 3 weeks. I know you'll be in and out on the, I believe the Savon podcast. Is that correct?
Yeah, probably not this weekend. It's my birthday weekend.
Oh,
that's right.
Is this the birthday?
Is it the birthday?
The birthday?
What am I turning? 29.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm almost 30, dude.
Is this the weekend where you turn into Godzilla in Tokyo? That's my
maybe.
Oh no.
No, it's 50. No, I'm 54. Officially 54. So I'm officially at the top of the 54 division. So next year I'll be in the 55 division.
To be 54. It's next year.
Next year. This is my last year technically in the 50 to 54 division. Yeah.
Okay. Enjoy those 50-pound dumbbells, because next year, they magically turn into 35s.
35-pound dumbbells. It'll be my demo weight, is what it'll be.
Yeah.
My demo weight. So I'm gonna try to do it. I know me and my daughter is gonna take a little trip. What?
When is your birthday?
The 20th.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what is that? Sunday?
Yes. No.
Saturday. Saturday?
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, happy birthday weekend.
Thanks, dude.
All right,
but I'm gonna definitely try to hop in there for sure.
Yeah, send Bill some love. Send you guys some love too. Thank you guys for joining the show. We will see you guys next week when we analyze the program of the semifinals after seeing it unfold on the competition floor. Follow that up with some reprogramming ideas after what we saw happen in live competition. And then into those next 2 weeks of semifinals, Bill and I will be a little bit all over the place.
Totally.
There on the internets. But y'all have a great rest of your week. If you guys are competing in semifinals this weekend, good luck. If you're traveling to go watch, safe travels. If you guys are watching from home, we'll see you online. And then, Bill, you have yourself a great birthday weekend, sir.
You too, dude. Have fun this weekend.